Now, doctors are one thing. Are you one of those who advocate holistic medicine and things like that?
I do advocate holistic medicine because I think some of its steps are very, very helpful and it could be enough for you. If you have mild and moderate depression, I think that changing your diet, exercising, getting enough sleep, going to the bed same time, getting up at the same time, all those, I think that's enough sometimes. I think the cognitive behavioral, the tricks that you can, positive thinking and reprogramming your brain, all of those are very, very beneficial. But my doctor said, and this is very true, that if you're suicidal or have very severe depression, those attempts aren't going to work because you're not going to even be able to do them without your illness getting in the way. The research says that actually if you try and reprogram your thinking when you're in a severe suicidal depression, you're going to do worse to it. Because the more you do it, you think, I fail. You know what I mean? Whereas if you're in a moderate, mild depression, then that's enough to sort of re-trigger your circuitry, your brain circuits to think in a new path.
Now let's talk about this depression and mental illness and how often it's misdiagnosed. I'm not talking about doctors. Let's just say family. Mom has a teen and she thinks, oh, she's just, going through, or maybe a wife and a husband, and they just think she's just going through, this is just a time for her. Does that happen a lot?
Well, one psychiatrist at Hopkins, James Potash, says that it is about 70% of people who are suffering in some way would rather not go seek help. That's
because of the stigma too, right?
Because of the stigma.
Because the normal person does not want to be labeled as crazy,
right?
So they just continue to deal.
I mean, I look at myself in high school, and I was exhibiting major symptoms, and my mom called up a psychologist and told him everything I was doing, and no, she's just a crazy teen.
Wow. And that's what I would think too. Honestly, I would just think she's just going through her teen years, honey. Let her be.
Yeah.
And that was far from the truth.
But yeah, and so that's why I really think that you need to educate yourself and do the research and get yourself a very good doctor.
Now the humor, you have a lot of it, and you mentioned in the press release that I read that humor has kept you going.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's like a rubber band, and you get more pain, and then snap. You just, and all of a sudden everything is funny. You're in a psych ward, and people are going around with their granny underwear and, accusing the dead people of having affairs with their dead in-laws, and
wow.
It's funny. There's some element of humor in it all, and I think like the saying says, if you can't laugh, you're going to go insane. Well, if you're already insane, I think you better do well to laugh and just start laughing.
Now, I know there was an actress, what is her name? Brooke Shields caught a lot of slack about coming out on Oprah about her postpartum depression. That was very tricky and dangerous for her. It was a wise move, I think. I think more attention needs to be brought to it. But I don't know if you saw that. What did you think about that?
I did, and she's one of my heroes, truly, and I read her book, and it's actually funny because my literary agent sent me her book, Ribbon, right as I was going into my severe depression, and I thought, if someone like Brooke Shields, I've always been sort of a fan of hers and put her up on a huge pedestal. If she can have her illness bring her down to her knees, then I feel better. I think what she did was a wonderful thing. Glenn Close recently came out with her new movement, Bring Change to Mind. Her sister is bipolar, and she talked about in her movie the Fatal Attraction, how there was that actually that crazy woman, who goes after the husband. The first ending was to have her commit suicide. But all the reviewers thought that, no, we want the crazy person to be murdered. So that was the end of that movie. Remember, somebody shoots her, and that was more comforting to them than to, it's media's influence on this and their messages is really, really powerful.
Yeah, it is. It's a powerful medium, and I think, like Spider-Man's uncle said,
I love that. Yes. I said that in one of my interviews. Yeah. Yes, with great responsibility, with great power comes great responsibility. Absolutely.
And I'm media. I'll admit it. We need to do better with the messages that we send out, especially when our young people are at stake. I mean, they're the next generation now.
Yeah.
So
the power, it is. But.
Now, you said an interesting about faith here. You said that your Catholicism, I'm looking for the quote. You know the quote, so you can say it.
Catholicism is the best religion for the mentally ill, and I know that I'm going to get some major slack from that.
Explain that for us. What do you mean by that? So we're going to give you a chance to explain that.
Growing up, I clung on to things like novenas to Saint Therese and relics and statues of Mary and Saint Joseph, and first of all, there's a saint for every disorder. I mean, you have panic attacks. I think it's somebody, and then Matt Talbot is for alcoholics, and then anxiety. You got, and then if you run out, you got Saint Jude because he's for hopeless causes.
Okay.
But I think there's a lot of comfort in the rituals and the traditions of the faith. Lighting candles. I've always felt a great comfort there. Now the danger, and when I was younger, is that people saw my faith as just very fervent, and there wasn't the acknowledgement that scrupulosity and OCD could very much be in there too. You know, but faith is what kept me alive. Truly, I mean, at one point when I was so ready to be done with this life, I said, "I'm out of here, God, until you give me a sign."
Wow!
And at that moment, when I checked my mail, there was a medal of Saint Therese, exactly like the one I've been carrying in my pocket since the Depression. So I know that God's with me, and that truly has kept me alive.
Now, talk about your husband and your children in this. What do people who are the family support system for people who have depression and mental illness, what can they do? You've lived through this, so tell us.
That's an excellent question.
What can they do?
Eric,
the best thing?
I mean, Eric is he's a hero for living through what he did. I think the best thing you can do is start talking about it, to initiate the conversation. What was so hurtful to me when I was suicidal is that people sort of treated me like I had leprosy. When I was on bed rest for a preterm labor with my daughter, people were over all the time cooking. Can I do a lasagna for you? Can I clean for you? What can I do for you? But when it came to depression and anxiety, people were like, snap out of it. What is the matter with you, girl? And so I think to just look at that as another, just not to judge it, to try and keep your judgments, if you can, to try and keep your judgments out of it, and to do what you can to help out. Maybe you don't know the right things, but you could offer, what you would if she was on bed rest. You could offer to help with the childcare, with the cleaning, with the other household tasks, so that they don't have the stress. I think talking there, just being a listening ear, not saying anything, but saying, "Gosh, I'm so sorry you're going through such a hard time." I mean, that's worth a million words, I think just being there, just knowing that you love and care, and not letting the stigma of mental illness or the unknowledge or the not knowing what to do keep you in the way of being a comfort to them.
Great. Well, I'm proud of you. I'm glad that you're still here. Obviously, you have a whole lot to give, and had you taken your life, the world would have missed that, and they would have missed this book. One of the praises that you got, or review, comes from author of the Happiness Project, Gretchen Rubin, and she says, "Not every book about depression makes you laugh out loud, but Therese Borchard manages to be both funny and searingly honest. Think Kay Redfield Jameson laced with Anne Lamont." How does that make you feel? This is about you.
I have goosebumps. Yeah, because those are my two favorite authors.
Wow.
And Kay Redfield Jameson for her knowledge, and Anne Lamott for her humor. So, yeah.
Well, you're doing a great thing, and we can't close out the show without you telling our viewers where they can find out how they can get this book and where they can find out more about you.